Hi, everybody. It is Kendéll Lenice, and welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live. As you see, I have this beautiful woman here. This is Dr. Keisha Allen. She's former Miss Michigan, but she is more than just a pretty face. She has a book out. Let me make sure I get it right. The 9 Key Principles to Activate Your Life. So, we're going to
Yeah.
learn how to activate our life today in just one moment. All right, welcome to Kendéll Lenice Live once again. This is Dr. Keisha Allen. All right, she is a minister, a coach, a speaker, a writer, a teacher, a humanitarian. She is a transformation agent who helps the unseen to be seen, the voiceless to be heard, and the timid to be brave. I love that. Through her guidance, people grow to understand who and why they are, how to take their plain, excuse me, let me put this up and stop acting like I can see it. Take their pain and make it, oh, I love that. Their medicine. Her life's mission has led her to function as a minister, coach, speaker, writer, teacher, and humanitarian. This is also the author of a brand new book called Nine Principle. I want to make sure I get it right. I'm sorry, Keisha. 9 Key Principles to Activate Your Life. 9 Key Principles to Activate Your Life. Thank you so much for joining me today on Kendéll Lenice Live. How are you, my dear?
I am super fantastic. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your platform. And it's actually called Engaged Nine
And
Key Principles to Activate Your Life. Yes.
and thank you for that, because we want to make sure that is correct. Not engaged is the name of the book. Then it's nine
Mhm.
key principles to activate
Yes.
your life. Thank you
Yes.
so much for that. All right, so
Yes.
let's just get right into the book, and then we'll kind of move backwards if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so tell me, Keisha. I mean, I know everyone asks you this, but I honestly want to know, because you have a broad background. You do a
Mhm.
lot of things, and it's all in the vein of serving and helping people be better, be more
Yeah.
fulfilled, to learn, to heal, which is a girl after my own heart. As a life coach, that's what I do. So I definitely understand that passion. But why did you decide to put it in the pages of this book?
Yeah. Listen, honestly, if you have ever sat in a room and contemplated, why in the world am I here?
Mm-hmm.
If you have ever been driving in a car by yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you had dreams and visions and goals and ideas, but your life, for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
took a different turn. And you were trying to wonder whether or not you still have value, whether or not you still have worth. If you were the leader of an organization and
Mm-hmm.
you have ever wondered to yourself, am I doing this role with fidelity? Am I really making the impact that I need to make? That's
Yeah.
the reason why I wrote the book. I wrote the book for people, regardless of where you are in life, for them to be able to say, I will not die in the process. And you hear cliche terms all the time, right? About
Mhm.
not giving up and, staying in the race, but no one
Yeah.
tells you how.
Yeah.
So the book gets into the how. How do I discover who I am? How do I not die in the process? How do I keep moving forward? How do I have clear vision? How do I activate my life? So that's why I
Mhm.
decided to put it in the pages of a book.
Yeah. And I think that that's powerful, because people learn in a lot of different ways. I mean, you can
Yeah.
go on stages and you can speak about it, but some people like to have that written word right there, because they can
Absolutely.
refer back to that. And there's a lot of different, as we know, styles of learning, and how that message seeps in. What's been the response to your book? Because it's great. From what I read so far, I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but it's amazing the way that you lay everything out. How's the response been?
The response has been phenomenal. It is my first but not last book. I'm actually working on my next one. But sometimes, the book wasn't just for other people; it was also for me. And so sometimes you sit back and you say, "Should I do it now?"
Mm-hmm.
And then once you put it out, you get the affirmation of this was the right time. People
Yeah.
needed to read those words off of that page in order to be activated themselves.
Yeah.
So I have got nothing but glowing responses, thank God, in regards to the book.
Yeah, and like you said, thank God, because right before this, I mean, I normally don't say that, but right before this, I prayed.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be connected in that way. We can give all the tools of the trade, we can help people do whatever they want to do, right? As a coach, as a minister, as a teacher, a speaker. Um, what is your relationship? And I'm just, God has just literally told me to say this. What is your relationship with God, and how can someone apply the love of God to the words on this page?
Yes, so I don't do anything without God. And I mean that sincerely. I know that some people are accustomed to the church attitude, right? But honestly, everything I do is because of
Mm-hmm.
God. And I do it, I don't do it unless I've heard God say, move, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't move as quickly as He wants me to, but eventually I do. The other piece about that, though, is this book specifically speaks a lot about my life, my trials,
Mm-hmm.
some of the things that I went through in order to remain engaged. So, for a person who tried to commit suicide 3 times, who was raped twice, who had a mother that was on drugs, a father who was in prison, and who was wondering whether or not, I had value and worth in this particular place, God saw to it that I was positioned around people who helped me to engage by understanding who I was and why I was. And then God was able to take the gifts, talents, and abilities that He placed in me from the foundation of the world to say, okay, little girl,
Yeah.
now that you have your story, take your pain and make it your medicine.
Mm.
And if you take your pain and make it your medicine, not only will it heal you, but it will heal other people as well. So that's why we
That's,
do it.
mm. That's so powerful. And a lot of people probably have no idea your story. And the reason why I said more than just a pretty face, because when somebody is beautiful aesthetically on the outside, people for some reason think that you don't go through anything. And then we
Mhm.
have the colorism. I had a panel about colorism, and they think, and I hate to even say this, but I'm just going to keep it real. They think, oh, if you're light skinned, if you're pretty, if you're this, if you're that, you don't go through things. And this is some of the things that I've heard in my panel that I conducted, a colorism
Mhm.
panel. So I love the fact that you're transparent. I love the fact that you share your pain, because God gives us things and He says, okay, He doesn't put on us more than we can bear, right?
Mhm.
But then
Absolutely.
at the time, it seems like you can't bear anymore,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you're still here and live through all of that. So I want you just to talk a little bit about that and how people see you. And is the perception the same as the reality? And what do you do to confront that, to say, hey, no matter what, I'm you're me. And because women, we link that way with our
Yeah,
stories. And I
absolutely.
think it's so important to share your testimony and to show that you're one and the same. And we share more stories than not. But I know I asked you several questions in that, but I
You
really
answer
want
all of them too.
to.
But let me start off by sharing this. In my work that I do, I'm the CEO of an organization that's called BFDI Training Institute, and so we get the opportunity to travel the country and teach people about restorative practices, trauma informed care, DEIJ work. But in a lot of the work I do, we do something that's called circles, and in
Mhm.
those circles that we do, we show people how there is no separation between you and I. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter where you come from, your socioeconomic background. There is no separation between you and I. And so, as
yeah,
far as connection and meaning, now I've grown to a place that it doesn't matter if it's the homeless person on the street
yeah,
or if it's the person sitting at the head of the company, there's a connection there, right? And then just to break away from that for a moment, just to give you a story about the Miss Michigan USA. So, the Miss Michigan USA was very interesting for me, Kendéll, because I was not a pageant girl.
hmm,
I didn't grow up in that life. I didn't know
yeah,
anything about the waves and how you walk and the etiquettes, so to
yeah,
speak. But I promise you that one day I was watching the pageant and I heard God say, "You're going to enter the Miss Michigan USA pageant." I was like, "What? Me?" No. I remember going on this journey where I started looking into the pageant. The next day, I went to work, and there were like three people who came to me and said, "For whatever reason, Keisha, I saw the Miss USA pageant, and I saw you." Three people.
Wow. Wow.
So, so now I'm feeling convicted as well as confirmed. And I remember a woman called me, a pastor, and she said, "Keisha, God told me that you're going to enter this Michigan USA pageant and you're going to win." I entered the Miss Michigan USA pageant with church people saying that I should not do it because you had to
Mhm.
wear the bathing suit and things of that nature. And they said that that would be disrespectful, that it would be a
Mhm.
disgrace. I got all kind of backlash for entering this pageant. For the girls who were in the pageant, they told me that because I was too light and because my hair was too short, that I was not going to win this Miss Michigan USA pageant. Long story short, I did win. I went to the Miss USA pageant, Kendall. I met some of the most amazing women across the United States. And it was interesting because when their names weren't called for the top 10,
Mhm.
these were girls who were allegedly accomplished, who were
Yeah.
in the background saying things like, "I can't go home. I don't want to be here anymore because my name wasn't called." And that's when the Lord birthed in me Charismatic You, which means the gift of God's grace in you, is one of the companies that I operate. And it teaches women how to be affirmed from the inside out, where you
Yeah.
never have to wait for someone to call your name in order to feel validated. So
Amen.
even that move that God took me through in order for the Miss USA pageant was for the purpose of being
Yeah.
able to connect with other women, to
Yeah.
show them their grace and their beauty from the inside out. So it does. It all works together.
Yeah, and that was well said. It's so interesting. You like you said you weren't a pageant girl, but yet you end up winning because you listened to when God spoke, you heard.
Mhm, mhm,
And that discernment. With this book, the same thing. Did it
mhm.
happen that way as well? God said, you know what, this is something that you need to write. You need to share some of your stories. And
You
were
know,
you apprehensive at first to share some of the things that have happened to you in your life?
well, let me say, I've never been apprehensive to share things that have happened to me in my life because
Hmm.
I come from a mother who, once she recovered from drugs, was
Hmm.
very open and transparent about all of her scars and all of her wounds. And so I learned from my mother how to be unapologetically authentic.
Love
That
that.
part wasn't my concern, right? It was actually just sitting down, and there was so much information going through my head. And I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I condense it to make sure that the reader gets exactly what they're supposed to get? So it was that kind of struggle for me. Plus, it had been a 22-year journey. So the book didn't just come out of anywhere.
Hmm.
It was birthed in me 23 years ago when my father came to me and he asked me, did I know what it means to be engaged? And whatever
Mm,
I gave him, it wasn't it wasn't the one that derived from the book. But my
right.
father said to be engaged means to be willing to enter the war for the promises that's offered on the other side. That you don't just get to the promises. There is a
Yeah.
way to get there. And for whatever reason, Kendall, in our minds, sometimes we feel like we should have it easy. We
Mm,
feel like there shouldn't be a struggle or that there shouldn't be a fight. And that if there is a struggle, if there
mm.
is a fight, then this couldn't possibly be God.
God.
And so
Yeah.
what the book is really about is learning tools so that you don't die in the process, that
Woo!
you engaged in
Yeah.
order to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Because there is the other side, but you're
Yeah.
gonna have to walk through some stuff
Yeah.
in order to get there, right?
Yeah.
And nobody equips us for that kind of journey. They tell us things like, "Oh, life is gonna happen," but they don't tell us the tools we need so that we need to have so that when life happens,
Yeah.
we can be weaponed up and ready and prepared.
Weapon up and ready and prepared. I
Yeah.
love that. So let's get into these principles. You have nine. Her book
Yes.
is Engaged, Nine Key Principles to Activate Your Life. So let's talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
activating your life. There it is right there. So we're talking about activating your life today. So when someone says activate your life, somebody might be like, well, what do you mean? I'm already living. My life is activated. I'm moving. I'm doing the things that I have to do. But tell them what you mean when you say there are nine principles to activate your life. Let's talk about that.
So the first principle that we really get into is the principle of purpose.
Mm.
Now, the reason why that is foundational, is
Mm-hmm.
critical, and it's important because there are a lot of things that we do that is outside of our purpose.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wars that we fight that God never intended for us to fight. For
Woo.
example, when a person, it was Dr. Miles Monroe who said, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Mm.
So when you don't know the purpose, your purpose, you will make decisions and choices that are counter
Yep.
to the promises that you are supposed to receive. So when you think about our beautiful women who sometimes end up in relationships in which they're torn, they're broken, and they're bruised, right?
Mm.
Not because that's where God has them, but
Yeah.
because of their emotional IQ and because of their identity of themselves at that time and not knowing who they are and why they are. When
Yeah.
you think about people who take a job,
Yeah.
who are miserable on Monday morning to show up
Yeah.
because they don't want to be there and they
They're
feel like,
miserable on Sunday night. They're miserable on
yes,
Sunday night because they know they got to
yes,
go Monday
yes,
morning. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And trying to figure out there has to be more.
Yeah.
And so with that comes from is people not knowing who they are and why they are. So the first principle really deals with discovering who you are. It's
Yeah.
not true that you can do everything. I know we like to tell our kids that you could be anything you want to, baby. But I tell my 6-year-old daughter, you can be what God created you to be.
Come on.
And as well as Beyonce sings, and I love singing in the shower, Kendéll, you can't tell me that I'm not throwing the bomb concert while I'm in the
Those
shower.
acoustics in the shower,
Yes,
everything.
and help the minister out. But to be on the stage, it's not who God called me to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And so if I waste my time pursuing things that I was never designed for and never created for,
Ooh, come on
then
now.
I end up dying full
Yeah.
because the gifts and talents that were placed in me were never used properly.
Mm. That's
Right.
powerful.
So the first principle deals with purpose,
Okay. Number
understanding who you
two.
are and what you are. Then the next principle deals with vision.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that you know who you are and why you are, you have to see a vision. You got to
Mm-hmm.
start with the end
Yeah.
in order to begin, right? And oftentimes people really just live on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
We get up, Kendall, we brush our teeth, we go to the restroom, we wash our bodies, we go to work, we do our jobs, we come back home, we eat a meal, we go to sleep, and then we repeat the same thing over and over and over again. And those people who you said who feel like, okay, I'm activated because
Right.
I might be making money and my bills are paid and
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature, but you're living on autopilot
Yep.
for a career
Yep.
or a position that you may not have been called to in the
Come
first
on
place.
now. Well,
So you have to have vision in
yeah.
order to be able to see where does my purpose take me. So
Yeah.
when you mention things like author, speaker,
Mm-hmm.
writer, it falls within the gifts, talents, and
Yeah.
abilities that God created me for. I'm very
Yeah.
clear about who I am, and I'm very clear about when I show up
Right.
what is supposed to take place. God has
Right.
already given me the vision for that. He's already given me the strategy for that. So if you are operating and you don't have a vision, then what you're saying to yourself
You
is, I
perish.
set myself up to
Mm-hmm.
fail.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what I said,
Mm-hmm.
die in the
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful because I, like you, I can think that I want to sing, but that's not my calling. But writing is my calling. I can write that dope song that somebody who can really sing, that's their calling up on that stage. So I totally agree with you. And that's so powerful because so many people are trying to pursue what's popping right now, what's exciting right
Yes,
now, a hobby that they may have, and they're pursuing
yes,
it as if it's their calling, but it's not really their calling. It's something that they like to do. And like you
absolutely.
said, that's so powerful because people are, passing away and they still are full because they haven't
Mindful.
pursued their true gifts that God has given them. Powerful. Number three.
So what? Before you say that, there's a quote that says, "The wealthiest place in the world is the grave because so
Yep.
many people die with unfulfilled potential." But that brings me to something else. It's not principle number three. I'm gonna tell you what that one is in just a second. But who
Okay.
you have around you matters.
Absolutely.
Because my husband has been pushing me to write since the day that we have been together, right?
Love
And my
that.
husband, Paul, he's a Grammy Award winning music producer. He came to me one day and he said, Patti LaBelle asked us to produce a song for her. I want you to write it.
Come on.
Are you serious?
I
So
love it.
you need people who will push you into
Absolutely.
your purpose. So I have
Absolutely.
the opportunity to write a song on a person who I've just admired for so long because the right people were around me,
I love
pushing
it.
me in the right direction. And so you have to check your surroundings. Who are these people who are with me? Are they adding to me, multiplying me, subtracting me, or dividing me? You got to make
Absolutely.
a decision. And you have to
Absolutely.
be
Are they
brave enough to
withdrawing
say
or are
that
they, yep,
you have
or
to
just
be
listening?
brave enough to say if they are subtracting and dividing, peace.
Right.
For
Right.
real.
So you can't, all right, Keisha, you can't just skip over the song. You got to tell us the song, what it was. Everybody
Oh,
watching is probably like, what song did she write for Miss Patty?
there was a gospel album that Patti LaBelle did. There is a song on her album called More Than. And that
Mm,
song, More Than, is the song that I wrote for
love it.
Miss Patti LaBelle with his company, Pajam Music Entertainment.
Love it. Love it. So everybody, if that song is not familiar to you, check it out because this beautiful lady wrote that
Thank
song.
you.
She used her passions and her gifts. That's really what we're talking about today. So what's number four?
No, number three
Number
really
three,
deals
I'm
with
sorry.
your mind,
Hmm.
right? You can have purpose, you can have vision. But if you have vision sitting on your couch, nothing happens, right?
Come
But
on now.
I mean, we know this, right? You have to be able to move the vision. And the
Yeah.
only way that you begin to move the vision is that you have to change your
Yeah.
mindset. Poverty is not about money, poverty is a mindset.
Hmm.
That's where
Hmm.
it starts. That's why you can have so many people, Kendéll, who win the lottery,
Hmm.
millions of dollars, and they end up in more debt
Yep.
after
Yep.
they won the lottery
Yep.
than before. So you can put clothes on a pig, it's still a pig.
It's still a pig.
And so if we don't change our piggish
Yeah.
mindset,
Mm.
then we stay operating in that mode. And so you can understand who you are and why you are, and you can be very clear about that. You can have the vision and write it out and all of those things. But then there's a third part to it. Write the vision, make it plain so that they that read it may run. That means you got to move. And
Hmm.
in order to move, you have to get your mind together.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it afraid. And you got to be able to move all the barriers out of your mind that tell you that you can't. I don't have
Absolutely.
the money. I don't have the education. Well, if I compare myself to this person, I don't measure up. God never ever asked you about the money, the resources, who was doing what. He simply said, change your mind, renew it every single day,
Amen. Yep.
and then move in doing what it is that you have to do so that you can
Absolutely.
accomplish what you need to accomplish. You got to change your mind.
I agree. I agree. So so far so good. Let's get to four.
Okay, I'm only giving four because they're not gonna read the rest of the book in
Right,
there.
right, right,
I
right,
want
right,
them to read
right,
the
right.
rest of the book. And so the other one that we get into is courage.
Hmm.
Courage. And so you could change your mind, you could have vision, you
Hmm.
could have purpose, but the other piece is being courageous.
Yeah.
And when I talk about being courageous, what I really speak about is what is it that you can be convicted of? So when you
Yeah.
think about a person who is charged with a crime,
Hmm.
the prosecuting attorney comes with evidence that says this person can be convicted of this crime,
Yeah.
right? So when you think about courage, I try to create the paradigm shift in terms of what courage really is. It is
Hmm.
the ability to be convicted of doing exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. So
Yeah.
when people think about you, what's the first thing that comes to their mind?
Yeah.
What do they say about you? What are
Yeah.
you courageous
Yeah.
in? What are you unrelentless in?
Yeah.
What are you willing to have that dog grip on where you refuse to let it go? What is
Yeah.
it that you continue to do even when you get no after no after no after no after no after no after no? Where is the resilience that makes you say, in spite of the no, in spite of the turn downs, in spite of what I see, in spite of what I feel, I have to be courageous enough within myself to
Yeah.
still move past and to keep going? Because see, one of the things about your mindset is that you can, in the very beginning, yes, I am going to do this.
Yeah.
The plan laid out, the whole nine, and then you begin the journey. And what you don't count on are the hurdles
Yeah.
that are to come as a result of you making a decision to change your mind.
Yeah.
So now you have to be courageous in facing the hurdles. So when you
Yeah.
think about David, King David, and it was told when he was 17 years old, you're going to be king. Well, what
Mhm.
17-year-old, I'm getting ready to be king of an entire kingdom. I'm
Yeah.
going to rule over. That's sexy to anybody who
Yeah.
hears that.
Yeah.
Guess what? He had to fight a bear.
Mm-hmm.
He had to protect sheep.
Yep.
He had to serve in the king's house. He had to run for his life because the king was trying to kill him. No one
Yep.
told him the hurdles
Yep.
that it was going to take for him to be courageous.
Yeah.
That now you know you're going to be king. You've changed your mindset.
Yeah.
What is it going to take in order for you to get there?
Yeah. I love that because people don't talk about courage a lot.
Yeah.
If you notice, people talk about resilience and people talk about strength, and people use a lot of different attributes. And as we're talking about the 9 principles, a lot of people don't speak about courage and being courageous. So I'm glad that you put that one in there. And we're, of course, we're not going to give the other 5 because we do want you to purchase this book. So activating your life, how has this book helped you activate your life by just using your own principles?
Um, I'm one of those ministers who I don't like to minister about things unless it's true for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get up in front of people and, espouse all of these kind of motivational pieces and
Yeah.
give people practical principles about how to live their life. And it's not true for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So this
Love that.
book was true for me before it went to press.
Yeah.
Now, because I obeyed and because I listened and did what it was that God told me to do. As a matter of fact, that's how, when you do what it is that God tells you to do, He'll bring the right people in your life.
Yeah.
And there was a young woman that my husband and I met by the name of Takia
Mm-hmm.
Crawford.
Hey,
And shout out to Takia.
Sakita.
But she really came into my life by God's design, uh,
Mm,
in terms of, okay, Keisha, I've given you the vision. Now I'm giving you a resource
love
that's
that.
going to help you move it. And so, with that particular relationship, God has allowed, this work to really, really flourish. And so
Yeah.
I am thankful to her. So we've done the book tours in terms of when I go to different places and I speak, I'll make
Yeah.
sure that I'm speaking about the book and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But every principle that is in this book is a principle that I've had to live out myself,
Yeah.
is a principle that I believe in wholeheartedly. And so for me, these principles have not just been tried, but they've also been proven.
Mm,
They've
mm.
also been proven.
But you talked earlier about your husband and now Takia talking about people who see the vision and who
Mhm.
believe in you and who
Yeah.
support you on this dream. What's that feeling like to have people to support you? And how would you talk to someone who says, you know what, I have all these ideas, I have the vision, I'm courageous, this is my calling, but I don't have the support that you do? what would you tell that person to help encourage them to maybe write the book, to tell the story, to do whatever God's called them to do? What kind of encouragement would you tell that person right now?
So to your first question, how does it feel? It can
Mm-hmm.
feel scary.
Mm.
Sometimes people see more in you than what you
Yeah.
see yourself.
Mm. Mm.
And that's for anybody. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you sit in terms of positioning and economics. Sometimes there are people who come into your life who just push you
Yeah.
beyond your capacity, right? Who push you beyond the vision that you think you saw, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's just slow up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you have those extra nudges, and you understand that God brings these people into your life because He has told you to jump. Now,
Mm.
there's
Mm.
two aspects to your question. You
Yeah.
said, what do I tell people to
Part.
do who
Yeah.
may say that I don't have the resource?
Yeah.
Here is my response to
Encouragement, support.
or
Mm-hmm.
the encouragement and the support. So
Mm-hmm.
here is my response to that. Number one, when you feel like you're alone and you're all by yourself and you feel like you don't have a village that surrounds you, the first one that you have that heads your village is God.
Come
Now,
on. Come on.
I hear people say, but God can't, blah, 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 blah. But here's what God will do. He will surround you with people
Yes,
who
Lord.
will help you light the way. All you have to do is obey, which is the
Amen.
second part. So once you jump, God will provide the parachute.
Yeah.
He'll make sure that you're not stumbling and that you're not falling. And
Yeah.
even when you do stumble and fall, you're stumbling and falling forward
Yeah.
and not backwards.
Yeah.
Every single thing you realize is for a lesson and a
Yeah.
purpose to be learned, right?
Yep.
So I would say to people who say, I may not have that encouragement and I may not have that support. I just did a conference in Tallahassee, Florida, and there was a young lady who said similar. She said, Dr. Allen, I don't have a village. And I said to her, that's the truth you keep telling yourself.
Mm. Mm.
Because when I look at these women who are in this room who have said to you, I've heard them who have said to you, but you have me. You have
Yeah.
me. Your response still was, I don't have the village. So
Mm.
it's like that saying where the man was in the water drowning and he was praying to God, saying, God, save me from drowning. And he sends the first boat, and the person is trying to pull him ashore, and the man that's drowning said, no, God said he gonna save me. So he
Right.
goes away. The second boat comes along, he's like, dude, you drowning, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
God said he gonna save me. And so sometimes we tell ourselves truths that are
Yeah.
not God's reality.
Yeah.
God's reality is we always have a village.
That's good.
We
Yeah.
always have the
Yeah.
support that we need to carry out what He told us to do. You think He's going to ask us to do something and then not equip us
Come
for
on
the task
now.
in
Come on
order
now.
to do it?
Come on
It's
now.
just not the kind of God that I serve.
That's right. You know what? That's so powerful right there. And it reminds me of footprints.
Mm,
The poem Footprints, where you see that one pair of feet in the sand and you think that you're
mhm,
by yourself and it's all along God is carrying you.
yeah,
That's what that reminds me of, because you're right, we're never alone in this thing. And if we
yeah,
believe, then you know that you do have your village, and you have to really discern and pay attention to who is around you, because everyone does have a village, whether you see it as not. It's not about what you see yet. It's
yeah.
about what God is trying to show you, and that's sharpening your discernment as well. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
We're going to play a game at the end. I don't know if
Okay,
you were
I like
told that.
games. I like games.
Okay,
I wasn't
play
told, but
a
I
game.
like it.
Yes. So let the people know how they can purchase this book, how they can get in contact with you for speaking engagements, for book signings, but most importantly, to support you in this journey, which I think is awesome. And
Yeah,
you said this is your first book, but not the last. So I love that.
yeah. So people can go to www.keishallen.com. That's Keisha. Len. So it's only one A. So, people will say, oh, that's Keisha Allen. So if that's the way you need to say it, then yes. But it's one A, www.keishallen.com. And they can order the book there. And if they're interested in speaking engagements, then they can also make a request there to get more information. You can also go to Amazon.com and get the book directly from Amazon if you choose to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, you ready for this game? And then we're going to
I'm
close
ready
out.
for
All
the
right,
game.
let's get it. 5 minutes of fun. You ready? Let's go.
I'm ready.
All right. So now, how these games work is a couple of games in here, but how they work is no explanation. Just answer the question, and that's how we're going to go through it. No why, and let me tell you this story. All right. So this or that, breakfast or dinner,
Dinner.
night owl or early bird,
Night out.
an adventurous vacation or a relaxing beach vacation.
Adventurous.
I love that. Top 3 movies. Every time they're on, you're going to watch them.
Count of Monte Cristo, Shawshank Redemption, and Ever After.
You know what? I think out of all the guests I've had, you answered the quickest. The quickest. Usually people get stumped like, I don't know. All right. So what is your hidden talent? People don't know about it.
People don't know that I clean very well.
Oh, okay. That is a talent and a skill, though.
It is. It really
So,
is.
it is. It is. So what makes you laugh out loud? I mean, laugh hysterically.
Bernie Mac.
Rest in paradise to Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
He said, I ain't scared of you.
Yeah. I kick a kid. I fight a kid. I love them.
Right. The milk and cookies. All right. So the song that makes you dance every time you hear it.
Beyonce's Ring the Alarm.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. All right. So what would people be surprised to know about Dr. Keisha Allen?
What would people be surprised to know? They would probably be surprised to know that I am a thrill seeker. So jumping out of planes and things of that nature gets me going.
Wow. All right. So last question. Using the first letter of your name, name or give a word that describes you.
The first letter of my name. It's not many names, many adjectives that begin with that. So that would describe me. I think of a whole bunch of C's. So for K, the only one that is really coming to my mind is kind.
Yeah. That's the one I always use for my K, and I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one. Dr. Keisha Allen, everybody, I thank you so much for joining me on Kendéll Lenice Live. Engage 9 key principles to activating your life. I'll have you have the final words. Why should someone buy this book?
You should buy this book because it's for you. And we make investments in a whole bunch of things: nails, hair, clothes. But this book actually makes an investment in you. And I don't want you to feel like if you get this book, then your life would change all of a sudden. Even for me, engagement is a lifelong process. So if we must engage, then at least learn how to do it.
That's it. That's all. She had the final words. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Kendéll Lenice Live. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. If you have a question for Keisha, please leave it in the comments. If you want to talk to her, she gave you the information, and I'll have that in the body of this video. Remember, you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Thanks for watching.